Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever for another replay review. Today, we're looking at our first replay review of March. The player who submitted is, of course, the ever-so-lovely Ikrick, the channel supporter. I believe he is a Patreon, but he may be a channel member. And today, it's a little bit special. I am joined by my very good friend and co-host, Thurnis Haley, to help me berate and belittle Ikrick as we compare his FAF play to that of the theoretical good players that don't exist. How's it going, Thurnis?
Yep. What I'm here for. I enjoy it.
Indeed. So, what's your opinion on first land factory? It's so last year, isn't it? Everybody knows you go first naval factory now.
Oh, 100%. No, but I don't like that he didn't try to correct that he dropped it on the reclaim.
Yeah, that's... In general, if I see trees, I just try and place it as far away from trees as possible. I know that they're supposed to explode, but some map makers, and even the original map makers, put them just far enough away where they don't explode before you can build, or like disappear before you build.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So, I like the Hydro Rush. I don't like all the walking around.
Yeah, considering you can do this build with one move order on this map.
Yes, you can.
And he's done about 4. Fun fact, if you want to get around that, get the advanced, or the additional camera stuff mod. And now that I think about it, you spawned in a point where you could have done this with, yeah, one move order for the Hydro Rush if you move the comm to build it. The idle comm, not really the best thing. Generally, if the comm is idle before 3 minutes, I expect it to at least be walking towards reclaim, not just sitting there. I like a lot of engineers, but might be a good idea to mix within your first, 5 or 6 engineers, either an AA or some raiding units, especially on maps like this where you can either raid really easily or T1 bombers could be prevalent. What are your opinions on an opener, on your opener for your land factory?
Oh.
How many engineers on a map like this? How many engineers before non-engineering?
On a map like this.
Yes.
So I would do 3 engineers, a lab, another engineer.
Yeah.
A scout, 2 more engineers, and a tank. I'd have that on repeat. That way you have a raiding unit.
Yeah.
By the time a raid get to your area, you have a response unit, and you can just keep that on repeat, and you can obviously get rid of the lab eventually because it'll be useless.
I've been
you probably replace it for an AA.
I've been playing a little bit on my own. Not after the stream yesterday, I played a little bit on my own today, and I think that my new preferred opener is 4 engineers, scout, lab, AA, and then 10 engineers, and then after that it's engineer tank, or 2 engineer tank, depending on how many engies I want.
Okay.
For my first factory, but I also build my second factory. I usually go 3rd air if I'm gonna go air on a land map like this. My second land factory, I really prioritize it. My second air factory and would be done. I think I could have my second air factory and my first air my second land factory and my air factory done by now. But so far the build, it feels like he's going in the right direction. Just feels a little bit slow, which that's okay.
It does look like he's in the right direction. He's getting a good amount of reclaim. He doesn't have power problems.
Yeah.
He should.
He's spending a lot of mass on power right now that I don't think he necessarily.
That
needs.
energy storage right there. That's a mistake. That blows up your hydro, your radar, 2 P-gens.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't blow up the hydro, but I'm assuming there's going to be a second one queued up.
I don't think that.
Quite frankly, I think it's. There might be.
I like putting an e-storage next to my hydro, but I put it on a side where there's nothing else. Now, and because I don't think I also am with you. I don't think one e-storage blows up the hydro if it dies.
It doesn't, but quite frankly, I don't think it's a smart move. I also don't think that he should have opened second air on this factory. Not factory.
On this map.
This map.
Yeah, I don't agree with second air either. He's up against Templar 95, which I don't agree with worrying about who you're up against. Whether you're up against a 100 or 1800, you should play the same. It doesn't matter if you're up against 100 or 1800.
Yep, he's about to hit an incredibly large power stall here.
Yeah.
That could be solved by simply pausing the air factory.
Or having less engineers building power. He has about 7 engineers right now on power.
Yes, he doesn't need this second line out over there. He's got, what is that,
I don't
4
know what's
engineers?
going on with his engineers right here, but they're just not building.
So,
and this might not be his fault.
If you hold shift, they're assisting...
He's
assisting too many different engineers here. So, that engineer at the top has a different assist order from the rest of them.
Generally, if you're having issues like this, I just like to drag select and re-queue it. Like, I have this particular thing on a template, and I know that, like, hitting T 5 times like I have to do, I should really get it earlier in my template bar, but hitting T 5 times, sure, you may call it inefficient, but your engineers getting stuck on each other and not building for 2 minutes is more inefficient than that.
Yes. So
I do like that he's in the middle getting reclaim. I think the reclaim here in the middle is really good, and I've talked about this a few times. This is going to be inefficient, and it doesn't take long to do manual reclaim. I think people are intimidated by it, but especially with additional camera stuff, you can do it from so far away. But even right here, all you have to do is press E, hold shift, and spam click all the way within this circle. Spam click on all the rocks you see. It takes, what, 10 seconds to get a decent amount of reclaim queued up. And sure, it's not a long queue for an ACU, but for an engineer, they'll take a little while to do it, and you can just come back to it and do it again. I like that Ikrick pinged here. Pinging and letting being aware of that, because that just came on radar. Being aware of that is really good, and I know it may be just because he's like right here, but being aware of it and pinging it. People don't ping things. Like, I know you personally hate it when people don't ping when they're dying.
I don't like when people don't ping raids, any of that stuff. So that's a good habit to get into.
Yes.
I think it's good that he pinged that. It means he's playing at least somewhat zoomed out.
Yeah, there's no way he was sitting in his base like this or sitting on his comm like this. He had to be at least here. Like, at least here on his comm, or if he's at his base, he's this far back. I think he's playing really zoomed out because he hasn't noticed this yet. He just now noticed it. That was, what, 3-4 minutes of those engineers basically doing nothing, and he does do the right thing. He just selects them and
re-queues.
Now at the
point where he doesn't need to do this, though.
Yeah.
He's making positive 150. Unless he plans on getting another factory going, or sending something to T2, or maybe a gun upgrade.
So, I also, with this, I've been doing this less and less. I don't know why. I just kind of been going away from this. And I don't know, do you still do this where you go to one of your forward mexes and ring it with factories?
No. On a forward mech, no. What you should do is you should get your core production online, which a lot of people don't like to do for whatever reason.
I noticed that the lower your rank, like, I watch a lot of Icy Nightmare, who I think is one of the best early land players in the game. Even though he's not even, I don't even consider him one of the best players in the game. I think he can go against literally anybody in T1 land phase, and it will never look one-sided against him. He just has that on lock. And I've noticed that the lower you go in rating, the more often you see one factory or 2 factories in the, like, core mex's core base, and more factories out. Whereas with Icy, you just see him building factories literally everywhere. If he can fit a factory there, he's gonna shove it there.
Yep. So, either he has severely overbuilt power, or he's getting a lot of overflow right now. I think that's...
He's severely overbuilt power. I mean, we can just select this. He's producing... Oh, I thought that told me that. He's built over a K mass worth of T1 pigeons. He's 1,650 mass worth of T1 pigeons. And overall has 22. At 22 times 20 is... Yeah, that might just be his overflow, because it looks like he's making around 649 mass a second. Or not mass, power. Not mass. If he's making 649 mass a second in 9 minutes...
He's making a big mistake right now. I know he immediately upgraded that mechs up at the top, but that was a lot of build power just on one mechs. At this point, he's making too much mass to spend with.
Well, too much mass is a good problem to have, in my opinion.
No, it is,
because
but
at the very
field.
least, at the very least, he's about to be overflowing to his teammates. But he has T2 land, and this is just definitively a mistake. No player over 1200 rating, I think I ever see this happening. He didn't build any T2 NGs, not a single one.
That's a big mistake because at this point, you get your T2 factory, you get an NG or 2 or 3.
The biggest reason for the T2 NG, even if you're like, I need units, build one at the very least for TMD. Because right now he is one tactical missile launcher away from basically going from having too much mass to not having any at all. Like, you need also TMD. Correct. But also
he's now overflowing way too much mass.
At
this point, he needs to be up. He's making 37 mass. He's got another mech he's got another couple mechs he can upgrade, which would help temporarily solve the problem.
There's another mistake.
He needs more production.
Yeah, and another mistake he's making is, out of all of his factories right now, he has half of them going to T2 while he is taking a fight. I think that you need to either wait till this fight is over and keep your production going the entire time, or fall back and not take this fight in the first place, but he's sorely in need of units.
I don't think he started those upgrades during the fight. I believe he started those before, and Yellow decided to push. Yellow was at a disadvantage to that push, so he lost all of his units. He needs to get more assistance on his upgrading factories or on his HQ. He needs to do something to spend his mass.
Yeah.
He's been overflowing for a solid
or just selecting all of these and double right-clicking and just capping mexes at the very least. Like, sure, that's not long-term going to solve your mass issues, but he has enough engineers to spend his mass at the moment.
Yes, at the moment.
And
he definitely has the build power to do it.
He's about to start ringing with mass storage, but overall, it definitely feels like what I talk about very regularly, like having a plan and not having a plan. This looks like you had half of a plan. You had the plan for a tech rush in your eco, like your eco was planned for a tech rush, but your production wasn't. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah. I don't exactly agree with the always have a plan. I think you go in with an idea of a build order that you want to execute.
That's what I mean by going with a plan. Like, have, like...
Oh, I thought you meant have the whole phase.
No, go in with me the plan. Whenever I said plan, and I was trying to be vague about it, I wasn't saying like come in with like, I'm not meaning have the first 20 minutes planned out with exactly down to the mechs or anything like that. What I mean is have a general idea of what you want to do before the match starts, and execute on that. And if that's not working, you have to change your idea of what you want. Like, if you want to get to the T2 phase and spam T2 units, every decision you make should be getting to that goal, and like you want to win at the T2 phase, which is a valid goal. Or if you want to eco up and you want to get to the late game as quickly as possible and have the strongest eco or play really greedy, have that as your goal. You know what I mean?
Yep, I got you.
That's what
I'd like
I was
to see Ikrick do here. Yeah. What I'd like to see him do here is I'd like to see him cancel that upgrade for one.
Speed and range is...
He's facing triads.
Yeah, speed and range is just in future for anybody who's curious. If somebody's triad creeping you, the answer is either you go for mobile missile launchers and force him to stay where he is and build TMD, which gives you time, if you don't want to go for like an upgrade or something, or you get your own point defense. Like, those are the quick ways to deal with PD creep. Or those are the ways that whenever I see PD creep, that's what I want to do. If you can use speed and range to deal with it, but you have to have it before the PD come out, you know?
Yep. He's made the right choice for what he has right now. He's noticed that his upgrade's about to finish, and he had a significant land force, so he's crushed the triad creep.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him move his comm up immediately. Because as it stands right now, he has enough to kill that commander if he wants to.
I don't think so. I think the commander has enough time to walk back to
If
his large bank of triads.
I didn't see the triad bank back there.
Yeah, he's been building this. This has been a PD creep. He started back here and just kept going forward.
Gotcha.
The Janus coming in is a nice touch from his teammate, but I know we're not here to criticize the teammate, but if you have this many Janus, don't go for a snipe on the comm. Just go kill his eco, because that's what Janus do good.
Commander under attack.
I like good. I like that he noticed he shouldn't press that with his commander.
Yeah. He does have.
So
a
he
decent
had
Air
a lot
Force.
of mass.
I didn't realize this, but he's been constantly producing inties and he's kept them alive. So now he's able to try and protect his allies Janus, which is a really good play and heads up thing to do.
Yes, protecting your air players, or protecting anybody's T2 air units, is always a good play. He's got so many interceptors, which it's not a bad thing. He's shot down, I believe, 1 ASF so far. So good on him. He's done a good job protecting
ASF
Janus.
about to go down. It's on it's on 53 HP. It's gonna go down. There we go. It's dead. So he's definitely helping with the air thing. I think that his teammate does have T3 air, but went for a T3 mass fab first. At this point, this is a point where you can rightfully say, like, put a drop a ping. It may seem BM, but be like, what the fuck is this? Because if your enemy is showing a bunch of T3 air and your teammate does, and you look back there and you don't have any ASF, you need to be asking them why.
Yeah.
And you need to be reacting to it with things like building whatever AA you can, which Flak may not kill ASF quickly, but eventually it can kill an ASF.
Rather than flak, you go for T1 AAs to shoot down T3 air. They hit more, they do more DPS per mass.
Yeah, but also gunships.
What I'd like to see Ikrick do here is I'd like to see him keep capping his mexes, which he's doing. I'd also love to see him get a factory down just to get the reclaim that he's been fighting for.
Yeah.
Or not fighting for, but that he's made.
Control shift, for anybody curious, because people have asked me a lot, and I still get asked. I know I'll never stop being asked, but how do you see the reclaim numbers? You hold control, you press shift, you see them. It's good habit to do this once every couple of minutes. And if you get in the habit of doing it, it'll really help you. Look for the biggest glob of green near you that you can reasonably get to, and just send engineers or get a factory and send engineers there. Doesn't even need to be a T2 factory like with T2 engineers, just T1 engineers. They do the job just fine.
I like that his
comm is still reclaiming. He has it on a patrol order.
Yeah, so he does have something reclaiming, which is good, obviously.
At this point,
I'd like to see him upgrade his forward mechs.
Yeah, but also at this point, my question is, where is the T2 power? Because then you can reclaim all of your T1 P-gens, and yet again, I still don't think a T2 engineer has been built. He's still one tactical missile launcher away from disaster at the moment.
Yep. You don't want to build a TMD because you see they have a TML. You want to build a TMD because you want to assume they have a TML.
Yeah.
So basically, you want to get your T2 power online, and then you want to go for a TMD or two.
Yeah, and if you're looking like for I'll let Thurnus explain. Thurnus just explained how he does it. He just prioritizes the power. I usually start off with at least 5 T2 engineers, and my 4th one starts building TMD regardless of if my T2 power is done. Because at that point, I feel the T2 power is going to be done soon either way, so that 4th one that comes out of the factory, immediately queue up all of my TMD, and then those other engineers can just focus on whatever else I need them to do.
Yeah, TMD is cheap enough. You can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now he's got 4 T2 forward factories surrounding a
T1 mechs.
Unupgraded mechs.
Yeah,
I
but
would still love to see that mechs upgraded at this point.
The mechs, the mechs doesn't really affect the cost as much as people think. Like,
no, but it would give him 5 more mass, or
yeah.
not 5, 4.
Yeah, it would give you 4 more mass. So that's something. I guess everything else he has is T1. This, don't let your teammates do this. It's obvious you forgot that this mass extractor existed and your teammate was like, screw it, I'm gonna take it. But reclaim this and take it back the second you notice. Don't just let him have it. Over here,
so
I like the Vipers.
Stage of the game,
I like the Vipers.
The Vipers are good. The Vipers are good. He needs to notice that there's a Clink Hammer going up.
And that there's T3 UEF engineers, which means there's possibility of Titans, Percivals, and he's still on T2 land. And he's relying on power overflow right now.
Yes. So most of his problems could have been, I don't want to say completely avoided, but there, T2 engineers are coming off. But these problems could have been avoided if he got up his T2 power earlier. If he got a T2 P-Gen up online, he could have started a T3 Max at this point.
Yeah, admittedly, he overbuilt T1 power, so until recently he wasn't overflowing. This overflowing only happened recently. He wasn't overflowing 2-3 minutes ago.
That would be his stealth upgrade.
Yeah, his stealth upgrade is forcing him to overflow. But getting stealth at 19 minutes should never cause you to have to rely on overflow to not stall power.
No, definitely not. At 19, almost 20 minutes, T2 power should be online. All your T1 should be reclaimed. It's
debatable if you even want stealth at 20 minutes, because it only encourages you to use the comm more, and that's just going to put you in a dangerous position, especially when you're a bit lower rated and you're not as familiar with what the comm can and cannot do.
I don't like this. This is the Shift G command at Triads. You don't do that.
Yeah, he's trying to get underneath the shields, I think, to kill off the shield generator.
You don't do that. You don't do that with all the units, though.
Yeah. But I was just trying to give some reasoning. I think that trying to use different commands and trying to use things like Shift G and trying to use things like doing the box select, one really efficient way to move your units is doing what I'm doing right here. Every time I move my mouse, I'm right-clicking. You can't see it, but this is a very efficient way to move a bunch of units at once. You just box select them and keep giving move commands. Because when you try and move them all at once, they all get stuck and stutter. The T1 PD here, you need to stop and focus it down. It has so much DPS. It's more important than even killing off the T2 PD. I like that he realized the Clink Hammer was going up and did get very aggressive very quickly. He realized he had enough units. That is a good call. But he just got stealth on the comm, and as I said, it encourages him to be aggressive. What I'm thinking right now is he's going to go up and he's going to get sniped. That's what I would be thinking with my comm.
That's what I assume there's T3 land on the field. I assume there's going to be Percivals at this point. It's 21 minutes. The stealth upgrade, never a bad idea, as long as you can afford it, because it gives you an extra 2,000 health, and it makes you harder to snipe. I don't think it's a good idea that he's pushing forward with it, though.
Also, his build on his factories. Okay, so I know people who are going to debate me with this one. I think that it's APM well spent whenever I'm doing it. But I like to give different cues to... If I have 4 factories, only 4 factories, all 4 of them are going to have different cues. So that way, whenever all of them finish producing something, I'm never going to have a situation that he just had. This is a minor thing and it's not affecting this game. But he just had 2 flaks and 2 deceivers come off the line at the same time. If he was under attack, I guarantee you he would have rather had 2 deceivers and 2 rhinos. Any of those be rhinos, you'd prefer it. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about recently, whenever I'm doing that, because I noticed that happened to me a few times a while back, and I realized that whenever I just changed that one little thing and gave them slightly different orders, which takes another, maybe 5-6 seconds to do, it doesn't happen anymore, you know?
I would like Ikrick to realize he's good. I like that he's realized he's in danger. He sees the Titans. I hope he saw the Ravager fire, and I hope he
I think that right now his response, while he's running away, automatic overcharge on the comm, and get a second E-storage. Then you can, if with a second E-storage, with 9,000 power you can't do it, second E-storage gives you enough power to one-shot Percivals with, or one-shot Titans with overcharge.
You need 3.
You need 3?
Three for Titans.
I thought you only needed 2 if you get your
They
power
have
ball
the
full.
shield. They have the shield that you have to go through too. It's not enough.
2
2 is enough to deal 2,500 damage or 2,700 damage. It's not enough to kill a T3 assault bot.
Well,
so
still having more E-storage at this point won't hurt because overcharge is
absolutely
strong.
not. Yeah, having more overcharge at this point is good. Well, not good. He needs it if he's going to decide to keep being aggressive with his commander.
Struggling. He's going T3 land, but he's still struggling to spend his mass with all of this build power here. Like, get another T3 mechs upgrade on the way, and also
once again, his problems could be solved here if he built another T2 P-Gen. He could get more assistance on his factors. Oh, I don't like what he's doing down in the bottom. He's paused all of his production.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
To get T3.
You are being faced down with Titans, not Percivals.
So, whenever they're using Titans, and with Percivals, you can also do something. With Percivals, you can swap yourself to producing Medusa with these support factories while you get T3. Because Medusa or any of the T1 mobile artillery deal with Percivals really well because Percivals are high alpha damage and slow fire rate. They aren't gonna be great in the long term, but short term when it's only 4 or 5 Percivals max, it can work. At least that's my experience. But mass for mass with Titans especially, Rhinos just win. So as long as you're investing the same mass he is into his Titans, and you have all these support factories building Rhinos, it's better to just have the Rhinos. I'll have to find the replay of it, but at some point I want to make a video showing how you can use T2 to fight the weaker assault bots, T3 assault bots, really effectively. I have a replay where a guy gets T3 like 5 minutes before me and has a huge Titan army, and it can't do anything. He has like 30, 40 Titans that can't do anything because I have over 100 Rhinos.
Lower tech units almost always beat higher tech units mass for mass.
Yeah, they're more massive,
but they're not noteworthy.
Like for example, the most mass efficient land unit I think is still the Mech Marine.
Oh, it's still the labs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're not going to go and send labs at a fat boy. That's one of the exceptions. Oh, I'd like to see how Ikrick responds to the strat snipe here.
I'd like to see if he gets the base. If he gets the base and he starts multi-basing, I want to see his response. I don't understand the gesture spam. This seems like... I mean, he hasn't been able to spend his mass, so I guess getting anything is good. But... okay, yeah, the response is you have T3 land, you need engineers, and you need to start spamming SAMs. That is the response I think is correct. If there is this is make lemonade out of lemons right now with this situation with your air player.
Yeah, seeing as how they just lost T3 air, I can assume
if you're looking for like a gut reaction, like a oh shit reaction, your very first instinct the second you see that you're not even that your air, like something like this, not your air's gone catastrophically wrong, just that you're behind in air, or maybe even if you're ahead. If you're T3, I think that we should start like having people build SAMs the same way you do TMD. Speaking of which, still hasn't built TMD. If I were in this match against him, I would have realized it, and he would have lost a lot of mass worth of mass extractors by now.
I know this is Ikrick's replay review, but do me a favor, go up to Blue's base right now.
He still has.
You don't do that as your air. You don't do this as your air grid.
Yeah.
1, that's very volatile. 2, you're only getting the bonus on. He's not even getting double bonus on one factory. So, oh boy.
This factory doesn't even get. This factory doesn't even have power adjacency.
Nope. And the factory that you'd think would have double power adjacency doesn't, because it's not.
It's not aligned correctly, is it?
Nope. So you don't do that.
Oh, this is Nick, the little guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to not call people out.
We can call out Nick. He's like your best friend. He's like your best friend. Nick, Ikrick and Nick play with us all the time. Nick, what are you? Why the mass fab? You still have T2MXs. Why the T3 mass fab, Nick? Okay, this is Ikrick's replay review, and right now he's doing a good thing. It kind of sucks that he didn't have anything to respond, at least quickly, to the Titans from his opponent coming down here to the south. But, he is responding, and I like the bricks. I like that he is getting bricks. I like that, well, until recently he was assisting on building the bricks. And I like the 3 factories going support factories and building bricks and bouncers. Bouncers are a good call here too, but bouncers are not as good as just building SAMs.
Bouncers are a good call, but seeing as how they have basically 0 air control, his ratio is wrong.
Wait, they may have air control now.
5.
Well, they can achieve.
They have ASFs left.
Yeah,
they don't. It's not upgrading air factories.
Yeah,
all they have is air left. They won't have air control. So seeing as how he should know that, his ratio for bricks is wrong. He's doing 5 to 1 out of your factories.
I do
when you know you're
2 to 1.
Yes, when you have 0 air control, or soon to have 0 air control, you want to switch it to 2 to 1.
Honestly, the ratio gets closer and closer to 1 to 1 the more support factories I have. Like, if I'm in a game that's...
idea. That's too much AA.
Yeah, I disagree. It depends on how badly you've lost air.
That's also true, but at the same time, that means 50% of your land force is AA.
Yeah, but it's bouncers, so it gets to kill things. I'm talking about bouncers in particular. They get to shoot down and up.
Yes, they do shoot down, but they miss a lot when they shoot down.
Well, that's why you pick big targets.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've ever actually gone 1 to 1. I've also done the thing where you have 2 or 3 factories producing bricks, and 1 factory producing bouncers.
I'd like to see Ikrick pull his land units back right now, seeing as there's a Fat Boy online.
Yeah, that would be a good call.
Unfortunately, his only appropriate response would be to grab all of his high-tech engineers and just draw some...
You mean his 2 T2 engineers? Because he hasn't built a T3 engineer yet, and he still only has 2 T2 engineers. Your allies are dying around you. This is a good call. I like this. Getting your units down here and expanding when your teammate died, good on you.
Very good. That's what you should do. Play greedy. Make sure you always attempt to pick up the
If
base.
your teammate dies, there is nobody's name on that mass extractor unless it's full share on the mass extractors. But if they die like this, where they lose their entire base, your name is on those mass extractors. Transport, don't care if it's on the other side of the map, take it. If you want to win more, that's what you have to do, because you have to. The way you win more consistently, the only the only thing that is consistent in all of the games are you. You're the only person who plays all your games.
Do not assume that your teammates will pick up the slack.
Yeah. But at the same time, support your teammates. Like, teamwork is like easily the #1 way to win a game, especially team games.
100%.
But you have to be greedy and work with a team. Don't ignore your teammates.
No, definitely not.
The only reason this is going anywhere near well, which it kind of is, he's getting close to the Fat Boy, is because the Fat Boy was mismicroed. Yeah, the Fat Boy kept moving forward whenever you moved forward. Now, I would say that that's because you're building deceivers, which is really good, but no, you stop building deceivers. Another tip for Cybrin in particular. Yeah, Cybrin, never stop building deceivers. If you're playing Aeon or UEF, never stop building your T2 mobile shields. And if you're playing Seraphim, well, you just suck, so stop playing Seraphim.
I'd like to see a ping go off for the broadswords, or whalers, I should say, flying over their bases.
I mean, neither of them built
SAMs.
Neither of them built SAMs or even T1AA, so...
Sure.
Yeah.
Not much they can do.
I think at this point it's GG. I think the only way to win this game is to time travel back and make better decisions.
You're probably right there. It's never too late to stop trying, though. I still want to
Yeah.
see him build some T2 artilleries.
I'd like T2 artillery and SAMs. Honestly, I'd like him to build more T3 engineers. I think a big issue that you've had this game, other than the very little things that we've been nitpicking, if there's one thing you take away from this game, is you are undervaluing engineers over the Tech 1 ones. You built enough Tech 1 engineers, or at least close to enough. You almost never stopped building Tech 1 engineers, but you completely ignored the fact that T2 and T3 engineers exist. It doesn't matter if there's a lot of pressure on you. The way you get yourself out of a tough situation is build power. And the way you spend mass whenever your teammates die is build power. You need
I
more
don't
build
mean to
power.
cut you off here, but I'd like him to cut up to deal with that Monkey Lord. There was artillery fire coming from it for a little while.
Yeah.
Not something everybody notices, but if it's that close to your base, it is something you should notice. You should respond to it before it even comes on radar if you don't have Omni, if it's firing artillery like that. Quite frankly, I think that Monkey Lord is getting too close to his commander for how long he was shooting artillery.
Yeah.
He will kill it, but something people need to pay attention to.
That Monkey Lord was
If they have-
mismicroed also. The second the bricks
Are-
start coming up, you just go for the T3 HQ. That's the only valuable
yeah.
thing you could have done with a monkey once the bricks got on top of it.
I can assume that the enemy has radar. What you want to do with that is you know the bricks are there. You see the bricks coming up.
This monkey
You
is
go away
also
from the brick.
horribly mismicroed. You just saw the brick army! I know that we're here for replay reviewing Ikrick, but you just saw the brick army! Why walk the Monkey Lord into it? Monkey Lords are a sneaky kind of... They're more of like... If you're comparing it to like another game, Monkey Lords are most akin to like the assassin archetype in other games. They're the only experimental that I would say is like for sniping things. It's more of a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Stop throwing your Monkey Lords into giant armies. They don't do well there.
Not in the slightest. Speaking of Monkey Lords, I'd love to see Ikrick with his massive overflow to actually start that Fat Boy.
He's
Or
having
gets rid of
troubles
it.
because he has all of these engineers set to assist it, and now this engineer can't move and can't build. Stop doing assist queues onto your other engineers. Just tell them to help build the thing, or unless it's on like factories. Because this has happened a couple times this game now, where assist queue onto an engineer, the pathfinding is so bad in this game. Admittedly, this shouldn't be an issue. If pathfinding was better, this just wouldn't, but you have to deal with the constraints of the game, and that's one of them.
Quite frankly, it's almost better to stop entire build orders and re-queue them if you have the APM to do it,
Yeah.
because assisting is just so horrible.
Yeah.
I know the game's over, and you can't dodge revenants, so
Commander under attack.
I have nothing to say about that.
I thought I did. I don't.
I like the desperation play. I do like seeing people do desperation plays. Laser, telemaser, perfectly fine desperation play. A lot less
I'd like to
useful
see him
since
touch
people...
the bug.
That's a bug. But yeah. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the Patreons and the channel memberships. Anything you want to do? What's the... As I said, for me, the biggest takeaway Ikrick should take is more T2, more T3 engineers. You need more of both. But what about you? What's your opinion on the biggest thing he should take away from this? The biggest thing he should work on, Thurnus?
So, I think he's, based off how much mass he had just this game, he did not do a good job spending it, which, like you said, could have been solved with T2 or T3 engineers. He gets more power online. He could do more things. He was restricted by his build power and power.
Mm-hmm. And
High-tech engineer.
And there's more than one form of build power. There is also, you could have just built more factories. 5 factories. It feels like that's
Too
just
low
another...
for a map like this.
It's too low for a map like this, and on 90 to 95% of maps I think I've seen, in my personal playstyle, which everybody's different, I like to get around 8 factories at the T1 phase, and then slowly trim it back by getting rid of ones that aren't going to turn up to T2 or T3. Like at least 8 land factories. That's my low number if I'm on a land map. If I'm not on a land map, it changes everything, which is why I think replay reviews, if you want the most value, send in a land map and send in a loss. Yet again, kudos to Ikrick, as I gave to Teacup. Sending in a loss gives us a lot more to look at, and gives us a lot more to talk about and explain why you lost. This game, you got your team got out ecoed, and you in particular, you had trouble spending your mass. So I think that overall you have the right ideas and you're moving in the right direction. Gotta be just a little bit faster and prioritize build power over getting out units so quickly at the T2 phase. Anything you want to say before we close it out, Thurnus?
Nope. I'm good. I've said what I wanted to.
All right. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the channel memberships. If you want to get your replay reviewed, join the channel membership or go to the Patreon. We'll be reviewing Thurnus's replay, and I don't know if Thurnus will join us for that at some point. Do you want to be here for your own replay review, Thurnus?
I haven't submitted one.
But are you going to? You don't have to.
Sure. I'll ego boost myself.
All right, we've done enough of this outro stuff. You all are beautiful. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Oh, also, let me know what you think about having Thurnus around, and overall, just go in the comments, give me your opinions on what I said. Bye.